Okay, first I'll just demonstrate the whole technique. So we're close, he comes with the belly, and I have the knife. Now I'll break it down. I'm stepping in with my right foot. He steps in with his right, so I step with my right. If you recall, I demonstrated footwork on a previous video. When I step left, I step with the left. When I step right, I step with the right. Right, if I'm going to the right side, I go outside, I step with the left. I go inside, I step with the right. So I'm stepping in with the right as I'm wedging in with my left arm. So when he comes toward the belly, I'm just wedging in right here. So I'm creating this wedge between my arm and his. Of course, he could just come, I'm literally putting my hand on his hip. I'm actually putting my hand on his weapon right here, which I'll take. But I'm literally putting my hand on his hip, and of course, he could just go over my arm, and he could cut me right here, right? Now, how do I prevent that from happening? The way I prevent that from happening is at the same time that I wedge in, I pull very strongly on his shoulder, very strongly. And you notice that as his shoulder comes forward, something happens to his arm, which is that instead of bending forward, right now to bend his arm, it wraps around me. So if I were just to wedge in like this and maybe hit him, his arm would wrap around me here, and I'm in serious trouble, right? He'd come around the back of my neck. But I wedge in, I pull on that shoulder. As his shoulder comes forward, now the direction of his arm bend changes. It bends away from me. You see? It bends away from me now. My hand shoots up deep here. I'll turn him around so you can see his back. I reach over to the back of his hand. I reach all the way over to the back of his hand, and I gooseneck his wrist. And what happens when you do that is the fingers open up. It might look like he's still holding the knife, but he's not. I can just take it. Now in traditional, let's come back around this way. In traditional Silat or Kali, from here you might drive down into the well of the neck, or you might sever the femoral artery here. But from a modern urban combatives perspective, now that I've disarmed him, I'm not legally justified in killing him, right? So instead, I'll just strike him in the face with the butt of the weapon a couple of times, or I'll give him a non-lethal cut, like maybe across the back of the shoulders here. And I'll disengage, and now I've injured him, and I have the weapon, and I would say he's unlikely to press the attack at that point. So again, I step in, I wedge in, and I pull on the shoulder, and you see I'm already in, that's it. If his arm bends now, it bends away from me. It's not actually bending away from me, but I can aid that with my shoulder, right? To get that, I want that arm over his back, so I can do that with my shoulder, right here. See? Now I have to come right away for this because he could reach over his back and take it with the other hand. Now I'm in trouble. So I have to take that away right away. So wedge in, boom, take it away. Now in slow motion, slower than that, I wedge in, I pull on the shoulder. This arm comes around toward his head and now into his elbow. I reach over for the back of his hand, I gooseneck his wrist, the knife just falls into my hand, hit him, bang, bang, cut, hamstring maybe, tendons on the back of the knee. Won't kill him, but he won't chase after me.
Ever.
Right. And we're done. So that is your wedge in. And I've pulled this off in sparring. Full contact sparring, wearing only gloves and goggles. And I've pulled it off against people who don't know what's coming in class, where you just tell them, okay, I'll show you what we do here. Just go ahead and attack me realistically. And I always manage to get it. If the guy's really resisting, occasionally, once I get in here, I might have to spin him down to the ground. If he's really fighting me here, I'll use my body rotation and I will just spin him down onto his belly, which I've had to do with Matt a couple of times.
Yep.
Because Matt likes to try to fight the technique. So that's your wedge in. Empty hand versus a knife. It works. It's efficient. It's real.